Ratan Tata, a doyen of corporate India, passed away on the 10th of October at the age of 86 years. He leaves behind a legacy that not only encompasses strides that the Tata Group made, but has also been pivotal to the big shifts in the Indian economy. One individual who's had an insider view of some of the most crucial decisions made by the Tata Group is speaking with us today. This conversation aims to get a better understanding of who Ratan Tata was, what made him tick, and why did he make the decisions he did. Whether it was the acquisition of Jaguar Land Rover, steel major Chorus, development of the Nano, or the foray into aviation. My guest on the show is someone who has worked with him closely for over 15 years. She's had an insider view of those crucial decisions and who the man really was. Her company handled public relations for the Tata Group between 2000 and 2012. Niira Radia, who was the chairperson of Vaishnavi Corporate Communications during the most critical time when the Tata Group decided to consolidate its brand at a group level. She also remained a dear friend and close confidant till his last. This is her first interview in over 12 years and the first one ever on the Tata Group. Niira Radia, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to speak with you. Let me start, I think, with a question perhaps most viewers have on top of their mind. How come you've agreed to speak after so long? And of course, thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you, Tamanna. Thank you for asking. I think it's what Ratan would have wanted me to do. For years, post-2012, he would always tell me, why are you not speaking? Why are you quiet? Why should you not speak? And I would say, well, I think it's better left. A lot of things are sometimes better left unsaid. And I think today, I think he'd be happy that I took that decision to actually speak. And I think it's more of a homage to him because I think this is what he would have wanted me to do.
Tell me, Niira, how you first met Ratan Tata and how did it develop into this kind of a working relationship which spanned over a decade?
It was a very interesting meet. I come from a background from aviation. Well, my father was in aviation and we were consultants to Singapore Airlines, and at that time the Tata Group was looking to enter aviation and Singapore Airlines was their partner. During that time they had taken a decision to bid for Air India. This was in 98, 99, I think, during the Vajpayee government. It's the same time that Indica and a lot of other things were happening in the group that were which were not being, there was a huge communication gap between the world outside and the Tata Group itself, whether it was Tata Motors or whether it was Tata Finance or whether it was it was the Air India acquisition. There was a lot of, and I think this is where I met him. The Singapore Airlines team wanted me to meet with him and have a conversation. It was really very interesting because he had given only 20 minutes for this meeting to Singapore Airlines. And I remember Ishat Hussain was present in that meeting and so many others from the Tata Group, about 4 or 5 of his colleagues. I have to say that that one meeting between Ratan and me lasted almost 3 to 4 hours. We broke the ice, we got along wonderfully well. We shared a lot of common values and I think this is where it all started from. And I got an opportunity, I don't come from the background of PR, and it's something I want to clarify, but I have been in marketing and I understood that there was a lot of hue and cry about many things. And I think in passing mentioned to him, Ratan, why is there so much noise? Why are you not talking? You need to come out and speak. And over time he said, well, would you help us do that? And it's as simple as that. And that's how it started. And I put together a consulting company, which I thought, which is something I had no background to media or communication. in any way at all. So, but it was for Ratan. And Krishna Kumar was there at that time. He was the vice chairman of Indian Hotels. And of course, also another very close confidant of Ratan Tata at that time. And well, lo and behold, we became the consulting agency, and I put together, he asked me to put together some of the finest professionals that, that were there in India during that time. And I got the opportunity to then look for those, actually headhunt for those professionals. And over time, Tamanna, because it was a very large mandate, and I had to do a lot of learning and a lot of learning myself about the communication space. But when I went into that, I think what he loved about it was that he realized that more than my learning, there was a lot of unlearning that needed to happen from the teams that had joined and look at things very, very differently, because I was a very, he appreciated the fact that I would go into detail. If I didn't know the sector, it was important I understood the sector. And this is what I would tell my team, that you can't write a press release if you don't know what the sector is all about.
Yeah.
So we went through a lot of, and I think he appreciated all these qualities. And he was a man always about, excellence.
Yeah.
He brought the best out of you. He drove you to excellence.
I'm just
and
wondering.
And because he had shared.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, how was it difficult to
Tamanna.
have the mandate to handle public relations for someone who just seemed to dislike public appearances? I mean, we were counting the number of interviews Mr. Ratan Tata has done, and I think major ones would be on one hand, a handful of them. Was there ever this conversation where you would say you need to appear more in the public domain? How was that happening? Did he not like these public appearances? Was he a very shy individual?
He was certainly a shy person. And I think he was shy by choice. He was a person who liked to get on with doing things, more importantly than speaking about them. But it was a time when the group was consolidating, and it was necessary for the group to speak. It was very important for the group to speak. There was his vision, something that he had written when his mother was in hospital looking after his mother, and before she passed away, and he had done this entire plan for industrialization and globalization, and it was never talked about. People didn't understand it. Subsequent to that, everybody carried. There was a lot of PR, and then it got public. We ensured that it was known to the world at large as to where his vision was coming from. He was talking about globalization in 90s. He presented it to us in 2000 as to where the group was headed, and the globalization has been talked about today. So I'm saying that this was a man who was way ahead. When I answer your question on was he shy, there are two parts to this, Tamanna. He was shy for sure, but the group had been on the receiving end of a lot of negative publicity as well. And I think a lot of the time, they preferred to stay quiet and stay focused only on what was necessary and that needed to be communicated. And I think the change was a welcome change by him and many of his MDs in the companies that we handled. Yes, it was a difficult one to start with, but we became a wonderful team together.
Yeah. Tell me about the first moment, and you described it very well. You had a 20-minute meeting with him, which turned into several hours, and then you went on to do a lot of work with him. When was that first moment when maybe both sides realized that this is clicking, that this is going to be a fruitful business partnership going forward? When did that really happen?
Tamanna, it just happened because from that meeting onwards, we always obviously remained in contact, and I would, I met him on many occasions, and on a general term, I would meet him and tell him what's going on, what's the environment. I come from a background where I need to know. I read a lot. I do a lot of research. And it's something I've inculcated into the team that I subsequently brought on, that it was so critical to know what you're talking about, to know what your client is talking about. So when I would relate to him, he appreciated that I was coming from a position of information, and I think information and knowledge is so important today, and it was key. So over time, he asked me, why don't you take on the mandate for the Tata Group? And that's when I said, look, I don't have the people. I've never done this. And I don't know how many PR agencies they had that time, but I think they had several. I think it just happened, and Krishna Kumar met me separately and then said, look, Niira, why don't you consider this? It wasn't a difficult decision, Tamanna, because it was for the person you're doing it for the group. And for a person like Ratan Tata, it was not a difficult decision at all. And it was because I had to leave what I was doing to then give up what I was doing, actually, to take on this mandate. And then that led to the corporate communications story.
Yeah, absolutely. Niira,
I hope I've answered your question.
To some extent. So it was a very natural flow to a deepening of that business partnership. Understood. Just trying to get a sense of what was the style of decision making. Was it a top-down approach? Was it collaborative? Because big decisions were being made, and for a group of that size, for things to move in one direction, it can be painful. Give us an insight into how the man functioned.
Well, he was a visionary. He was a dreamer and a visionary. India was his national pride. He was very proud. He was a hardcore nationalist at heart. He loved his country, and he loved the people. And I think when he had to take decisions for the company, then Tata Group played a significant role in the industrialization of India. So I think when he had to take those decisions, he had a vision. And when I said he had that vision, this was the plan that he had put together, which was about extending industrialization beyond what was built through the Jamshedji era or the Jayadi era, and he had to go one step further. But then it was so important to globalize. And why did he need to globalize? And the importance, and in one line, I remember him telling him, the only reason I need to go into, we need to do globalization is so that we can bring the technologies back into India and upgrade our own platforms and our own companies, so that we can make better platforms. So JLR, Land Rover, was one of the most one of such reason. Design. It is remarkable. It's one of the most, it's a luxury brand, but it was, but its ability and its research and its design was what he was an avid lover of design. Ratan was an architect, so he loved design. So for him, that was an important decision, and it was done for what? It was done to acquire it, and of course, it's good to go and buy one of the largest companies and the largest motor companies in the world. It was not that he had in his mind the thought that, look, I need to compete with an ex-competitor in a different part of the world. Competition was natural. It is a natural phenomena. Industry has competition, but what he wanted to do was to upgrade.
Is that why we saw so many British acquisitions? So one for the tech and the other a bit of national pride?
No, Tamanna, there was, yeah. So Chorus was, JLR was a great success. It upgraded I would say also upgraded the industry platforms as well. I think the automobile industry, after this whole acquisition itself, upgraded itself, and we saw, look at what we have today. It's wonderful, and that's his contribution, and the industry participated in that as well in many ways in their own companies to be able to upgrade. So he set the tone. Chorus was a decision that was which I think he felt was good for it. It was good for his companies. Fought hard. Remember when he did Chorus, we were also in the middle of the Battle of Nano in West Bengal. he took a decision, can I come to chorus after coming to Nano because it correlates in some way, if it's
Sure.
okay with you,
Sure,
Tamanna.
of course, of course.
So we were in West Bengal, and you know, he was in the midst of two very critical decisions. There was a bid going on as far as chorus was concerned. At the same time, there was a big battle for why the 1 lakh car should not be in West Bengal, because people didn't want it there. His choice to choose Bengal was his dream of industrialization, to industrialize the state, which needed industrialization. I won't come to the business part or the business reasons for it. You know, subsequently we saw something else, and I don't want to come to that. But I think what Nano did, and was, you've got to look at him from being, he was a dreamer. What did he want? He wanted something for the common man so that he didn't sit on a bike. Forgive me for saying this, but he didn't want people to get wet in the rain and be in a car and be safe. Yeah. That's all he wanted. That, it couldn't achieve its price point of 1 lakh. 1 lakh was something I remember an interview he had with one of the leading newspapers from the UK. And I was present in that meeting when this first thing was mentioned, that I want to make a 1 lakh car. And we all looked at him in amazing, you know, shock, and said, you know, 1 lakh, because he hadn't talked about the number. He had said, I want a car for the people. But at that time, he had never given the number that it was going to be 1 lakh. And I remember that was subsequently a lead story in I believe it was the Financial Times in the UK.
So I have to ask.
So the Nano was there.
I'm so sorry. I have to ask. So the decision was to make a car for 1 lakh rupees so that common people could use it, and then work backward to how it would actually happen? It's surprising to me that even you didn't know it was going to be a 1 lakh car.
You know, in the interview, it just was just a natural flow. And sometimes, you know, you think, you know, I'm sure he had, like you and like us, we all have many dreams. He had a dream, and his dream was for the people. It was always for the betterment of people, and always for the betterment of people of India. So I think this 1 lakh number was there because I think he would have done his maths at that time to say that, can I do it? There was criticism to it after that, and I don't wish to go into that. But so be it. You know, he look at the man. The man had a dream. He had a vision. He wanted to do something for the common man, and I think that was what was more important.
Was he disappointed when the Nano didn't work out as he had hoped? That the 1 lakh car didn't take off?
Yes, he was disappointed. He was disappointed.
Yeah.
No, I think the price point changed subsequently, as you know. But I want, you know, Tamanna, I don't want to get into the business side of the story. I want to stay focused to who he was and why he did.
Which is I'm asking.
And if I look at this,
which is why I'm asking, how did he respond? So he's, of course, he was a dreamer. He was a visionary, and sometimes these visions work out, these dreams work out, and sometimes they don't. Many of them were successful, some weren't. How did he respond or react when something he had hoped for didn't quite work out, as it often does in life?
There are factors to this, Tamanna. Let me come to that and put it into context. When he went into West Bengal, it was because he felt West Bengal needed to be industrialized. He took a decision to be in West Bengal because it needed it. It needed jobs. It needed, you know, something like this would have given a great fillip, because that whole road from Calcutta to Singur is a road in a stretch that would have developed extremely beautifully, just like when the Nano then shifted to Gujarat, Sanand. Today, Sanand is like Gurgaon. What I'm trying to say is that it is a time lag. It took a long time because there was a huge repercussion within the political. He was not. The fight was never about Ratan or never about Nano or about the Tata group. The fight was, it was a political fight, and he just got caught in it. But he chose Singur as a place which was the constituency of the then opposition leader. And And I think rightly so, because what is this telling you? This is telling you he always just wanted to take everybody along with him. And but I think the time lag caused the challenge on its price point, would have been definitely a reason. Subsequent to that, it took us almost, I think, 18 months to 2 years, almost, I think, about 18 months. And then he took a decision. We went and saw many, we visited many other states. We were called by multiple people, whether it was Punjab or Karnataka. They have plants in Karnataka, they have plants in Uttarakhand. We were called, we were asked. We then got a call from Gujarat, and the then Chief Minister, our Prime Minister now, Mr. Modi, and he took a decision and he moved. Why did he go to Gujarat? Because they have plants in Gujarat. They have Tata Chemicals already there. So he was comfortable, because then here he saw, okay, well, maybe Nano needs a state which is a bit more industrialized, which is moving towards development, and hence this will be better and easier, which is why he then moved to Gujarat. Sure. And we looked at many plots of land together. He and I went to Gujarat multiple times, and met with the Honorable Chief Minister and now the Prime Minister, and explored the options, and we were given this wonderful site in Sanand, and that today is a plant for Tata Motors. But Sanand has developed after that, and I think that's the context that I was trying to put, is that when you start to go and you have someone like him who wants to do something that's really meaningful and that really would matter, you also develop then the rest of the surrounding environment.
Of course, absolutely. Was Mr. Tata a predictable person, or did he end up surprising you often? And was there any time where you thought, okay, this is how I thought he would respond, but you were surprised? He
would surprise you. He was a thinker. So when you're a thinker, you will always be surprised, because you're always thinking. And he was not predictable. He would keep us on our toes. I think he kept all his companies on their toes. He wanted excellence, and he brought excellence, and he brought together a team that was amazingly excellent. Look at the teams that are at Tata Group today. They're excellent people, and that's what he did. He built excellence into the system. And not only his own group, but to us and everywhere else we connected, he always had that one single mind that, you need to be, you need to push yourself a little bit more.
So tell me a time, an anecdote, if you can share an anecdote when he surprised you, or there was something that was a big learning for you on a personal level.
So the Tata Nano was a learning, because courage. He brought, he was a courageous man. So when he took the decision, I remember it was the press conference going on at that time with Buddhadev Bhattacharya, and he announced Singur. And I was standing at a distance, because at that time we were not told which would be the site. And I think it really surprised me, because we knew that was the, naturally you have all the questions in your mind asking, have you communicated this to the person whose constituency it is? Have you spoken to them? Have you taken everybody on board? But for him, it was it was natural. He felt that, why shouldn't it be? I'm here to do business. I'm here for the development of the state. I'm not here to get into politics. So the fight was, so this was one thing. I remember that evening, another thing happened at the airport. It was really funny. Well, not funny, but it was very sweet. We were on our way back after that press conference, and I went through the ladies, where the frisking happens at security, and then he was coming through, and obviously there's a lot of protocol around Ratan, but he still insisted on going, and he went in and he stood on that and stretched his arms and waited to be frisked. And the security officer at that time turned around and he saluted in front of him. And he said, "Sab, please get down. You are our pride." And he said, no, I want to be, you must do your job. And this was who he was. Wow. And look at him, the lives that he touched. It just, this is a security guard who just refused to. He said, "No, sir, you are please, please pass. So, it was quite a moment. I watched it at a distance because I'd already gone through. And I saw his reaction and the smile and the way he looked at the security officer and shook his hand. This is what he was about.
Were you in touch with him after 2012? When was the last time you met with him, spoke with him?
About 2 months back, yeah, roughly about two to three months back, yeah. Oh, I remained in touch with him. We remained friends. He inaugurated. He was there at one of my functions. We always talked on the phone whenever we could. And I think we remained. What was nice was that we remained good friends much after, and actually we reminisced many moments because. Tamanna, there were times, when there was a lot of interest. Remember, this was a phase of the Tata Group at a very critical phase. And we were at Army and Navy, and he was from Bombay House, and I would get a call from him saying, or his secretary, Dilnaz, would call and say that Mr. Tata's coming over for coffee. He loved coming to our office because, and I knew it when he was going to come to the office, there's something on his mind that he wants to bounce off. He just loved the coffee at the office, and he would come to Army and Navy, where our officers, and there were many times that happened when he would then bounce an idea or bounce something and discuss something that he was, or something that would have been bothering him that he needed, an answer to. And those were very, and so when we met subsequent to those, in the last few years, whenever we met, we really did reminisce the moments that we spent together because I remember there was an incident you asked about anecdote, so we were in Dubai. Krishna Kumar was there and a couple of other Tata people. We were in I can't remember which mall it was, but this gentleman, that was a time when the Indica thing was still going on. There was still uncertainty. We had just taken on the mandate. There was still uncertainty about, is Indica going to be a success? And there was a lot of, the Tata Motors had lost losses of X, front page headlines and stuff like that. This is just before we got into the mandate, and then this is a few months later. And then this gentleman in Dubai came up to him in the mall and said, sir, I have an Indica. And he looked at me thinking somebody's going to complain. But the gentleman said, sir, no, I love your car. It's lovely. I bought the car and I bought a Tata car. And and again, he loved shaking hands, and he shook his hand, and he was so happy to hear that. The joy on his face was so amazing. And then when he walked away, he said to me and Krishna Kumar, see, they like it. The others have a comment, but they like it, And this is what he was all. This is, so it was nice. So he was inside. There was this, this man who, who did things from the heart and wanted people to like what he did. He wanted them to, he didn't do it for himself. He did it because he wanted others to do well and to be successful and to own, like I said, good cars and have a comfortable life.
Yeah.
He had great joy in that. He would, just look at the way he did that with, with dogs and I have one very funny incident which can I share that?
Of course,
about
please.
The dog?
Of course.
We were we were at our guest house in Bombay when we had to shift to Bombay because of the mandate. A lot of our professionals. So we had a dog which was a stray dog, and he said, look, will you look after this dog? Because he would have so many stray dogs. And he said, would you look after this dog? And I said, certainly. We have a guest house. We'll look after this dog. So his driver would bring food. Ratan would make sure that his driver sent the food for the dog, although our cook would be making food for the dog in any case. And this dog became a very healthy dog. And he needed to go out on walks. He needed to be taken out on walks because he became lazy. One fine day, he went out of the hands of our cook who had taken him on for a walk at Marine Drive. I must tell you, I've never seen PR professionals running looking for a dog. Okay, this dog had disappeared, and they said, you better get back this dog as quickly as possible because, it was a dog that Ratan gave, and it was such a funny sight, I must say. We found him eventually, and he was, and I had to call him. I said, Ratan, this dog is, we called him Jackie, and we said, this dog is, he's disappeared. Yeah. He left the lease, and he said, well, he's so heavy, because he would see him, we would make sure that he got to see him as well. And he said, you fed him so much. And I would say, well, we feed him what comes from your place, and we also feed him. So anyway, we finally found the dog, and then I called him in the night.
So you had to report. So you had to report back that Jackie was all right. Those must have been some nervous hours.
It would be wrong. No. I think I was nervous myself that, oh my God, I've lost the dog, what have I done? And more than that, it was my PR professionals, Vishal, wearing his tie and then taking his tie off and running. And suddenly I saw all these 4 or 5 guys running on Marine Drive, wondering what are they doing, and then we're looking for Jackie. So I felt I needed to tell Ratan that. That the dead Jackie had disappeared, but we found him ultimately at one of the laundry in the rear behind Marine Lines, and he was safe and well when we brought him home.
So after retirement,
so I'm just saying, so this is who he was.
Tell me, so since you were in touch with him, all the things that he did after retirement, some of the companies that he invested in. Was he still a workaholic after retiring? Was he very involved or excited about these new ventures? Did he discuss it with you?
He wanted, when he retired, he did say that I would like to bring young entrepreneurship to, I would like to invest with young entrepreneurs and encourage them. So this was his thoughts. So if you look at it, he was always wanting to do things for other people. And therefore, he would take positions in their companies to help them develop, because we have very smart people in our country. And he had this, and he had seen this way ahead. I mean, we're talking about entrepreneurship now, or the companies that are coming on, the unicorns that they're so called now. He was already seeing this 20 years back, and that this is the potential that we need to harness. And we have such bright, and he used to say, these young, bright children need an opportunity. So what he did, he was very excited about people presenting their thoughts, their plan, and the guidance he would give, or in some cases, the investment he made. I must say here that I didn't get too involved in many of the things that he did, because he would just share some of the things that used to come to him that were very exciting. One thing he always wanted, Tamanna, just to break from just the entrepreneurial part. When you look at sort of Tata Memorial came up in Bengal, also he wanted the hospital, the cancer hospital, Tata Cancer Hospital, to be wherever possible. I think it's in Banaras also today. I think it's coming up in Sikkim. But he wanted hospitals, the Calcutta hospital, but he wanted a drug. We shared a common bond because my father had suffered from cancer, and his mother had cancer. So we had something to discuss in commonality. And it just pained him that why does the common man have to go through the treatment that they have to go through, the chemo, the radiation, and whatever. And it used to pain him a lot. And he used to tell me that I wish there could be a drug which would cost 10 rupees. It's like the one Lakh car, right? It would cost 10 rupees, which people don't have to suffer, don't have to go through all that pain. Because, look, it's very difficult for people who suffer from cancer. And I know the work that they did for these people through their philanthropic and through CSR and helping. I think his vision was that we could have a better, and I think now that development is happening. We are seeing globally in healthcare that alternate medicine is now being made available much more. And I think he took positions in that, yeah.
How did you feel, or what is your view on the transition which has taken place so smoothly? We had the announcement about Mr. Noel Tata taking over as chairperson of the Tata Trust just within 24 hours, very dignified, very smooth. Any views or any thoughts on that?
I'll say just one thing. Ratan will be very happy.
Why do you say that?
He'd be very happy with that.
Why do you say
Be
that?
very happy that he would be very happy that it was unanimous. He always was a man of consensus. It was never a top-down approach. You asked me a question earlier on the companies. It was never a top-down approach. He was a man of consensus, and that it was unanimous. He would be very happy. And why? Because, you know, I think Noel, if I go back, if you look at the legacy, whether it was Jamshedji or whether it was JRD, whether it is Ratan, Noel would carry the same legacy. He comes with the same values. He comes with the same strengths, and I think that's why it's happened so smoothly and done so quickly. Because I would believe that's what Ratan would have also wanted.
Niira, let me ask you, what has been the one big learning for you personally from your association with Mr. Ratan Tata?
I think always to take things on the front foot, you know, courage. Always be on the front foot. Deal with matters as they come, face them as they come, and I think that's what he did. And I saw that. I learned that from him. I learned to address things absolutely upfront and on front foot, and actually courage, because he was totally fearless. I have said fearless, but he was also borderless. We went to Bangladesh, I remember, because the Tata group wanted to go to Bangladesh. And I suddenly realized that everybody just loved him so much. But I realized that, you know, at that time I realized Ratan Tata, or the Tata group, is one group that's just borderless. You know, and so my learning is that it has been that to go, you know, to be progressive in thought, to be positive, and I think to think ahead. More than anything, I think it is just that be on the front foot and deal with things, you know, up front. He was a man of tremendous strength and courage, and wanted us to be, wanted me always to be on the front foot, and that's what I learned. I saw him always being on the front foot. He led from the front, always. So I think in today's time, a loss of that nature, you know, is really irreparable, because that's a great loss for everyone. And for me personally, it's a huge loss, and I will miss him. I will miss him very much. I'll miss the conversations, the laughter. We had lots of laughter together, and I'll certainly miss that a lot.
Thank you so much, Niira, for sharing with us, for opening up to us, and you know, coming out with a public conversation after so long on something which I'm sure is very dear to your heart. It has helped us get an insight like none other into the persona that was Ratan Tata. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Tamanna.
Well, so that was the conversation with Niira Radia, someone who's worked very, very closely with Mr. Ratan Tata for a long period of time. First time that she's speaking in over a decade, and giving us an insight to who Ratan Tata truly was. Thank you for joining us on the program.